Today we're talking about energy, 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 energy. That's just a little ditty from a song that I've been listening to lately. I actually don't know who plays it or where it came from. It just popped up in my iTunes. We're talking about energy today. We're going to talk about the chakra system, and we're going to talk about the intuitive senses and their connection to the chakra system. We're going to focus together in this material on the intuitive dimensions of the chakra system. If you want to do a really deep dive with the chakras and how they relate to your body and to your emotional state, to your psychological state, and your energetic state, you can really do the deep dive in the Awakening Soul Force book and the Awakening Soul Force course that I have here on the Soul Force community platform. If you haven't checked it out already, you could go and find a lot of that information there. So I'd recommend that if you've never done that deep dive, because we're going to focus mostly on the intuitive and energetic dimension of the chakras and how they relate to our intuitive senses and how we use these senses to open ourselves up to higher dimensions of loving awareness and loving creativity, loving inspiration, loving wisdom. So the chakra system, really simply put, is kind of like it's the fundamental building blocks of our energetic body. There's 7 main chakras that we're going to talk about today, and their connection to each intuitive sense, or each one is connected to an intuitive sense, and then collectively, all the chakras together energetically make up the aura. So if you've heard people talking about auras or seeing colors in auras, being able to read auras and that kind of stuff, the aura is really just the collective energy of all these 7 chakras kind of put together. Okay, so we're going to talk about the 7 main chakras, we're going to talk about the aura, and we're going to talk about the respective intuitive senses connected to one or sometimes many of the chakra centers. So energetically, the chakras are really the gateway. They're almost like maybe I should say the doorway that allows energy to pass between ourselves and our sort of like localized, individualized, individual consciousness and the world all around us. So it's like when we're sending signals from our energetic being, our energetic body. So if you think of us like a radio tower, we're sending those signals, and it's really our chakras that are sort of sending the energy, out from the subtle body. And each chakra is carrying different bits of information, which we're going to talk about in a second. And then on the other side, we're not just a sender, but we're a receiver as well. So we're also picking up frequencies, and we're picking up radio waves and frequencies. And it is the chakras that essentially receive those frequencies and interpret them and bring them into our subtle field to be experienced and interpreted, etc., etc. So really, the chakra center is really kind of the energetic technology through which flies. The one thing about doing this course outside of nature, which I love, I spend lots of time outside of nature, but the funny thing is I've had to completely throw away any sense of desiring to control what goes on out here, from the planes that fly overhead to the flies that are buzzing around my face. So thank you for being patient with the very natural, organic process that this is and has been. If you see me continuing to swat flies away, don't mind it. It's real, Anyhow, we were talking about the chakras. I kind of lost my train of thought. The chakras are really the kind of the energetic technology that allow us to give and take and exchange energy. I mentioned that each chakra is related to sort of a different aspect of ourself. Each one is related to a different aspect of ourselves. Each one of them has a connection to a physical sense. We talked about being kind of a 5 sense, or I should say, a physical sensory being and having 5 physical senses that we're familiar with, and that these intuitive senses are really just an evolution and an expansion, a more sensitive and subtle dimension of the senses that are available to us as an energetic and a physical being. So each chakra center has a different relationship to different parts of ourself. So let's just do a quick overview of those basic things that each chakra is connected to. First, let's name all the chakras. The first chakra, the base chakra, located at the base of the spine, is the root chakra. And this is often reflected in the color red. That is the frequency of light that is expressed by this center. So we got the root chakra. It's connected to the color red. Then we've got the sacral chakra, which is about 3 inches below the belly button, and this is connected or reflected in and expressed in the color orange. And we move up to the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is about 3 inches above the belly button, and this is expressed or reflected in the color yellow. Then we move up to the heart center, the heart chakra. This is green. It's reflected and expressed in the color green. Then we go into the throat chakra, and this is reflected and expressed in the color turquoise or blue. We get into the third eye center, a very popular chakra, and this is reflected or expressed in the colors indigo, sometimes violet. And then we get to the crown chakra, and this is reflected on a spectrum, really, at least in my experience, from everything from purple, violet, purple, white, and gold as well is another color that has come in, especially the last few years. That's come in really strong. So those are the 7 main chakras we're going to discuss. And those are kind of the frequencies of light through which they are expressed or reflected in. Each one of these chakra centers is connected to sort of a different aspect of ourselves and our beingness. And so I'm going to lay this down first because it'll make sense when we go through the intuitive dimension of them, how those things are connected. All right. So first and foremost, we got the root chakra, and the root chakra is exactly what it sounds like. It's the root. This is our connection to the physical earth. It's our grounding. It's the chakra of our physical survival, our primal instincts, and our basic needs. Then we go up into the sacral chakra, and this sacral chakra is now a new, and I should say a higher expression or a higher vibration. And this is our creative center. It's our reproductive center. It is our emotional center. It is our ability to express emotion and to physically and in a way abstractly reproduce or create. Okay, and that's again reflected in and expressed in the color orange. Then we move up into the solar plexus chakra, and the solar plexus chakra is connected to our sense of personhood, our ego, our personal identity, our sense of self. It's a chakra center that governs our willpower and our ability to exercise our free will. So that's why this center is also connected very much to like physical sensations of the body or physical feelings. So we talk about the sacral chakra, and there's kind of the emotional, expressive aspect of our being. And then we get up into the solar plexus, and not only is it how we kind of exercise our free will energetically, but it's how we kind of exercise our free will in a physical sense. It moves our body. It's how we actually take action. Then we go up into the heart chakra, and our heart chakra is our center of giving and receiving love. It's the center of exchange, maybe is another way to think of it. But giving and receiving are the main themes, and it's around love and compassion and forgiveness and sort of those higher qualities, those higher dimensions of loving consciousness. The heart is actually sort of the bridge that, for lack of a better term, like translates, right, or integrates those higher frequencies into physical embodiment. So we talked about the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, and those very often can be considered like chakras of the physical body or chakras of embodiment, or like kind of more this physical experience. And then we get into the heart center, and that's the bridge between like the physical embodiment and then the higher dimensions of spirit and intelligence that come in, that drive our evolution toward more balance, more harmony, more creativity, more cooperation, more sustainability. Because at the end of the day, from a biological perspective, you know, biologically we want to survive. The biology wants to continue to evolve and adapt to continue on. You know, the basic impulse of life is to continue and to survive. So in a biological sense, you know, that's happening. But also what helps drive that are these higher dimensions of awareness, these maybe higher potentials we can consider them, these, you know, these ceilings that we can kind of strive towards and reach. And that's what drives it's like the creative potential and the creative capacity to evolve is kind of held in these upper chakras. So the heart is really the bridge between those dimensions of ourselves. So when we go from the heart into the throat chakra, now we're talking about that's funny, talking about our ability to communicate, because the throat chakra is all about communication. So this is our communication center. It is our center of hearing, but more so than hearing, listening, because that's that receptive piece. That's being able to soak it in, to understand it, to process, to integrate. So we're listening and hearing. We're also speaking and expressing with our voice. We're using our voice. So this center is connected to like speaking our truth. It's connected to being able to hear the truth, and to be able to kind of walk in alignment and talk in alignment with our spiritual truth. So we get up into this, into the throat chakra. Now we're kind of getting a little bit less, we're getting more abstract, I would say, and getting into some of those things that make us very nuanced human beings. Of course, physically, we're all very different, but, you know, biologically, there's a tremendous amount of similarity. Then we get up into these other centers, and it's where we really can tap into unique expressions and of individuality and perspective and point of view. So the throat chakra is our center of listening, hearing, speaking, and communicating. Then we go up into the third eye center, and this is our ability to creatively envision. It's our ability to visualize, to create, to see things clearly. It's the center of discernment. It is also our psychic and our intuition center generally. But what we're going to learn in our time together is that each and every one of these chakras is connected to an intuitive sense. So technically, there's a psychic sense connected to each one of these chakras. But the third eye has generally been associated with psychic ability or intuition, and that's because from here, when this is open and open up to higher dimensions of consciousness, it's open to our connection to our creator, which is the crown chakra, connected or open to that connection to source energy and higher dimensions of creativity and wisdom and love and guidance and wisdom. That third eye is open. We're seeing things for what they are. We also see the creative possibilities and potential that I was talking about, those possibilities and potentials that we can evolve into. That's why the realm of imagination and intuition are very close. You know, it's not an accident that so many things that used to be considered sci-fi, you know, half a century ago, have become closer and closer to reality. It's because the imagination and our intuition is very close. It's about seeing possibilities. It's about the creative potential of what life could be. And that potential is held and sort of up in these higher dimensions of our awareness, and we can bring that down into the body. And that's kind of the process we're going to be going through as we talk about Be Still and Listen. But that third eye center is our psychic and intuitive ability. It's our creative thought. It's our inspired thought. And that, of course, can kind of like cascade down to each center and influence the expression through each and every center. And I mentioned that the crown is our direct connection to God, to source energy, and to our connection to universal loving consciousness, or the loving consciousness of the creator. So those are each of the chakras and what they are connected to. Now let's briefly, I'm just going to give you the quick overview of which chakra is related to which intuitive sense, and then we're going to segue this next video into a chakra balancing meditation. And then after that, we're going to walk through each and every chakra center and its respective intuitive sense, or the intuitive sense is connected to it. And we're actually going to warm them up and do some exercises to help you wake up and become aware of these sensitivities and these centers and the way these centers work. And we'll give you some basic exercises to start to flex those muscles so that they can grow to be big, strong, powerful, intuitive muscles. And you can be a living, breathing expression of your divine loving consciousness that you were here to be an expression of. So let's talk about each sense real quick and the chakra center. So the root chakra, going down to the base, the root chakra is connected to the intuitive sense of clairalience or clear smelling. That would be being able to intuitively kind of smell things. And there's connections here to sustainability, survivability, health, food, basic needs, and survival. And we'll talk about that when we get into that center. Then you go up into the sacral chakra, and this is our center of creation and emotional expression. And it is connected to the intuitive sense. There's two intuitive senses that work with this center: clairgustance, or clear tasting, and then clairsentience, which is clear feelings. And this is in an emotional sense. So clear emotions or clear emotional sensations are connected to this center. The ability to kind of intuitively taste or discern taste are connected to this center. The tasting part very much connected to, again, I'll talk about the body and our physical survivability, sustainability, and then but the clairsentience is more in an emotional sense. This is how our emotions speak to us. These are signals from our experience and our body telling us something about this experience. Whether it's happy, it makes us happy, or it makes us sad, or it's exciting, or it's kind of scary. That's all being communicated in that center. Then we go up into the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is connected also to clairsentience. So clairsentience kind of works with, the solar plexus kind of works with the sacral chakra to communicate in feelings, but these feelings are more of kind of in a physical sense, the physical sensations. So the physical sensation of, running my hand across my skin, or the breeze going across my skin, or the heat of the sun, shining down on me. Those physical sensations are very much connected to the solar plexus. But there's a great intuitive dimension of these that we're going to talk about as well. The heart chakra, the next one up, is our connection to claircognizance or clear knowing. Clear knowing is just like that aha moment. It's when you just know that you know something. So there's no real other reasons, or there's no other sort of tools to validate what that sense is. It's just kind of an inner knowing. So we're going to play with that a little bit so you can come to recognize that for yourself, because those clear knowings are directly from the heart. This is the clear knowings come through not just the heart, but also the crown. So I talked about the heart being the bridge between higher dimensions of loving awareness and consciousness, and it being the bridge between that and our physical body. That is why claircognizance comes in our heart center and through the crown, because that crown is like a direct download from our soul, from our higher self, from God consciousness, from spirit guidance. That comes in through the crown. But because it's so intricately connected to the heart being the bridge between the spirit and the body, claircognizance works through these two centers, okay? Then we get into the throat chakra. Our throat chakra, we talked about it being the communication center. So this is connected to clairaudience or clear hearing, our ability to kind of hear with our inner ear inspired thought, inspired words. I talked about, channeled messages, that intuition, initiation, that came through. It was almost as if someone was speaking it to me, and that's how that came through. So we're going to play with that so you can connect to that. This is also connected to our musical ability, our ability to discern sound and tone and notes. So clairaudience isn't just hearing words. It could be hearing frequencies and sounds. So this is a very active center for musicians a lot of times. And there are healing transmissions and frequencies that can come through that, because if you've ever heard someone with a beautiful voice sing, or take you through a guided meditation, or help you go to sleep at night, sing a lullaby, like that's a healing quality of the voice. It's connected to our clairaudience. Then our third eye center is connected to clairvoyance, very popular psychic sense. Clairvoyance is often used to talk about psychic ability in general, but very specifically, it's about clear seeing. So this is in our mind's eye, having inspired visions, creative visions, daydreams, being able to see colors or symbols. That is all connected to the third eye center. And then last but certainly not least, we talked about the crown and the claircognizance there. There's another sense, a couple senses that I mentioned in the book. One is clairtangency or clairtangience, and that is connected to the heart center, but there's these little chakras in our hands that are connected to our ability to administer healing energy. But also there's a receptive side. Some people, I've never had an experience with this one, I can say necessarily, where I hold on to something and get intuitive information. If I do hands-on healing, or if I do energy healing with my hands, sometimes I will get information. At this point, because all the other senses are firing, it's hard for me to tell if that's just me, working with clairtangency, or if it's if it's my other senses firing. But the laying on of hands and getting information from the touching is an intuitive sense that you could be worked with or attuned to. And then there's a one that I gave a word, I named myself, called clair proprioception. And I named this because as my intuitive senses developed and I kind of worked through the normal, the familiar clairs that a lot of people talk about, and those came online, I'm very connected to my physical body. Once upon a time, having been a personal trainer and an athlete, I'm very, very connected and in tune with my body's awareness. So it was interesting that as my intuitive senses evolved, so too did my ability to kind of have intuitive experiences that had kind of a spatial relationship, and I could feel myself doing things in space. So I could say, I feel like I'm running down the street. I feel like I'm ducking a bird flying. Like, like there's these weird senses that come in sometimes that are very much like a full body experience. So I named this clair proprioception. I think it's really strongly tied to the solar plexus, but I really have to attribute this to the entire aura, or the collective of all of these chakras working together, because our clear body awareness, our proprioception. Proprioception is a word in functional anatomy that talks about our body's awareness of itself in space. So I use that word purposely. I kind of lifted it and then used the clair, the Latin phrase for clear with proprioception to talk about clear body awareness, because I feel like it's all of those senses working together that give us that intuitive awareness that, that kind of tells us, when to duck if something's coming in, or if we have to move over as we walk past somebody, or if we can feel ourselves reaching out to grab something, to catch a ball. That takes a lot of coordination of all of our senses. So clair proprioception is kind of the collection of all these tools working together, where we have a very clear sort of psychic and intuitive awareness of our subtle body in space. So maybe that's the best way to describe it. If proprioception is awareness of our physical body in space, which includes all of the senses, then clair proprioception is the awareness of our subtle body in subtle space, and all those senses working together. So we're going to talk about all of those different intuitive senses, and I'm going to walk you through exercises that help kind of warm you up to and help you recognize how they work. We're going to use our imagination at first, because again, the line between intuition and imagination is about that far. And that is going to kind of help walk you into and lead you to strengthening these senses, becoming more aware, and learning how to use them in a wisdom-seeking meditation for guidance and healing and understanding and insight. But before we do that, we're going to walk through a chakra balancing meditation together, because a chakra balancing meditation is kind of like an energetic activation. So if the intuition initiation was more a statement of intention and sort of a reset with our heart's intentions and our soul's intentions as far as how we use this material and how we apply it in our lives, well, this is an actual energetic activation. So please engage with the prompts in this video below. And when you're done with that, click into the next video when you're ready. And we're going to dive into a chakra balancing meditation to do sort of an energy activation of all the centers, to activate and sort of harmonize and balance them so that we can begin to work with each one at a time, learning the intuitive senses that are connected to that chakra center, to that area, and how to become more aware of it so that we can begin to bring that awareness into our daily lives and bring it into our meditation practice for intuitive seeking and discovery. Okay? We're getting into the good stuff. I'm excited, if you couldn't tell. So thank you so much for being here. Not these flies. Don't thank you for being here, flies. No, thank you for being here, flies. You're part of the experience. When you're ready, click into the next section, and I look forward to taking you through a chakra balancing meditation soon. Adios.